everyone. We're here today with Krista Fox in North Battleford, and we want to talk about Krista's role in the community as a advocate and as a family member. So, Krista, I just want to talk to you, and first, I want to say thank you for all that you do. Um, we don't have enough resources for our families, and what you do is you bring that, and I'm really grateful. Even when it's not directed for me, when I see you doing it for other families, it really touches my heart because it takes a lot of energy, a lot of time, and I know that you already have a day job on top of it, so you're a very busy woman. But thank you for always taking that time for our family members. Maybe you could talk about how you started, this journey.
Absolutely. Um, so I remember going back even prior to Ash meeting, I was talking to my husband about, I want to do more to support our women and our families. And, just because I had long heard of MMIW, not really having the ability to connect, but I kept hearing about it and I see it on social media and stuff. And so he had said, well, I know there was a lady trying to start something. So long story short, it didn't get off the ground. She had stopped because there was no interest or whatever her case may be. And then Ash went missing. She went missing July 10th of 2018. And I remember I've been a family friend for my whole life. Like my auntie had stated in the walk on Thursday that they grew up with like Diane and her sister and her family. So I started connecting and talking to Diane more, and I would ask, "Have you heard anything? Has anybody seen her?" And she would just, "I don't know. I don't know. Nobody's talking to us. Nobody's telling us anything." So I remember the day I asked her, "Do you mind if I ask? Do you mind if I could see if I can get any answers?" And she, please, please do. So that lit that fire within me, is what I always say. Ash, wherever she may be, I'm so thankful to her, and I know that families across Turtle Island are too, because that lit the fire in me to be able to step up and start doing something. Um, so yeah, I was the family advocate for 3 years, and then my world crashed. Um, December 7th of 2020 at 2:30 in the morning, my daughter came into my bedroom. I was fast asleep, and she shook me rather what? What do you want? Why are you picking me up? And I glanced at the clock. It was 2:31. And she said, "Mikey's gone." What do you mean gone? Where is he? She said his auntie's trying to message. He was murdered a couple hours ago. And that shook my world. And I still to this day, I don't know sometimes how I keep going. I think of them, and I'm just like any other family. All the what if. Could I have done more? Should I have done more? Should I have made him come stay? Stuff like that. So it was shortly after that. Well, for about 3 weeks, I never left my house. The only time I left was to go to his funeral. And then just after New Year's, I sat there and I thought I got to do more. I thought I was doing, a lot, but support Ash's family. I hosted 3 walks from Saskatoon. I thought, I'm not doing it. So it was at that time I decided I'm going to walk across the country. That's what I'm going to do. And my focus was, these people, these governments, these agencies are going to listen to me. I'm going to make them listen to me. So first I reached out. Actually, my baby was the first one that I reached out to and told. And then I reached out to my MMIP families in the area that I have been connected to, and let them know, and I guess kind of seeked out their support a little bit to see if I was actually doing the right thing, and everybody 100%, supported what I was doing. And so that was a huge journey. I was away from home for 10.5 months. Um, it was probably 2 weeks in, not even, far out of Vancouver. And I realized that nobody wants to hear from a 54-year-old hurting woman. You know, they didn't want me at those tables. They weren't inviting me to those spaces. So I thought, you know what I did realize in those 2 weeks was how much our families needed us. You know, how much we needed to be together. You know, I don't, no disrespect to our advocates, allies, whatever word you want to use. I don't like either one of those words, but, you know, I guess if the shoe fits. um, and I started realizing, you know, our families have nowhere to turn. They don't even know who to talk to. Because of our history, we're not comfortable asking the police questions. You know, there is no lawyer out there who's going to step up and say, hey, let me at least guide you. There's none of that. You know, so I thought, well, maybe this is my role. This is where I need to be. So as soon as I changed that mentality, man, what a journey. You know, to be able to connect families all across Turtle Island, having Diane Warren with me. So somewhere down the road, she could pick up the phone and call a mother in Nova Scotia and say, I'm having a rough day. And that mother's able to say, I know how to do it. Because no matter what, even with us sitting here, we can empathize and, you know, get those feelings. But I can honestly say I know how you feel because I don't have any symptoms. As vice versa, you cannot say to me, Chris, I know how you feel because you don't have a grandchild. So to be able to make those connections with the sisters and the aunties and the grandmas, to be able to reach out, whether it's Facebook Messenger and do a chat with them, I know there's always something there. And that's what I hope for these families. And that's still the passion that I have today. You know, and I think I explained this to you on Thursday, what I feel my role is to come in and kind of coddle these families in those very early stages, or not even, some of them have been on this journey a long time, but they've never had access to people, to resources. So I feel like that's kind of my role, is go in, kind of coddle them, build them up, help them find their voice. I can't give them a voice, but I can help them find theirs. And then once I do that, then I step back. You know, I never leave my family. My family, I'm a family for the rest of my life. They're my family. You know, so, but to be able to step back and let them, you know, move forward on their journey, and that gives me the ability to help them. Yeah. You know, so I'm not draining myself, yeah, with each of these families. I'm building them up, which fills my cup up, because, you know, I stand proud with Jenny Warren, you know, and when she started, anytime we did anything, it was head down, you know, no, you talk, sister, you talk. And now you see her, yeah, anybody watching it, down, please go look at her APTN interview. She stands proud of that. So I think that's kind of where my role is. And like I said, I never disconnect from my family. It's just step back and be able to, one, refill my cup, and two, to be able to help them.
That's so amazing, Krista. And, you know, it makes me feel like this is how it's supposed to be, right? In our communities, this is the roles, this is our roles, this is your role. And I know your role is so draining, but I'm so grateful for you for doing all these things for families. And whenever you're always available for them, uh, you know, it really makes a difference in all our lives, even for myself, you know, seeing you do these things makes me feel okay. I don't need to, I got a different role. My role for me is create more awareness, get more people to start speaking, and not the families necessarily, but the people who are able to, whether Indigenous or not. And that's how I feel my role is to, because me too, I don't feel like I could reach the government, or politicians don't care. And I feel like that's not the way. So education and you know, the youth, and that's what my passion is and fills my cup. But I'm also grateful that you connect me to those families, because like you said, it's not the same, and it's hard to understand, right? And I remember a time when I didn't know anybody who had a missing loved one. Like I wasn't connected, and now I know so many, and I could feel, like even when we were at the walk for Ashley Moran, it's 7 years, and my sister's going to be 22 years, and I remember 7 years, and it's not easy at 7 years. It's very fresh still, and so I could relate with the family, and I know what I was missing then, so I try to give that, to them. So I'm just really grateful that we were able to connect and spend so much time together, and it's not always just social media, but it's boots on the ground, and it's so important. And your community is beautiful. I love this community. We're going to come back every year. We really like it here. So thank you so much for having us here.
You and Derek have, like I had made a comment on whatever video it is. You, Vanessa, you were going to know. It was because you're right. Each of us family have a role. Some of us are not out there yet. We're sitting back and we're, talking amongst our communities and stuff about our loved one, but we're not ready to take that next step yet. Then there's people who, like our brother Travis, who is amazing at the calls to bullshit. And I'm sorry I call them that, but that's what they are to me. But those calls, he hammers those, he does those petitions. Then there's, just everybody has such a beautiful role. Like I always say, I don't wish this family upon anybody, but let me tell you, it has some of the most amazing people in it, and that's what fills my cup. People, quite often say self-care, self-care, self-care. I'm so sick of hearing that word. When a family reaches out to me and says, either our loved one was brought home, our loved one was found, we got posters made, thank you so much, stuff like that that fills my cup back up and reminds me why we do what we do. It's those little thank yous. I don't need recognition on medals or honors, but to have a mother or daughter or sister or grandmother come up and say thank you, that is worth more than anything.
I agree 100%.
And to have somebody so solid stand with me, and yes, we're not physically able to be together all the time, but there is never a moment in my life where I feel like, oh, could I reach out for? Absolutely, I need guidance. I need, because I don't know everything either, and I don't know the different roles of families in there. Chaos is, so to know that I could call you up and say, listen, I'm stuck, what should do, why, where, and so each of us having that role is what's making this what we do.
Yeah, I agree. And I really think that Creator puts our past together to make us even stronger, to build that community. So I'm really grateful for our connection and for everybody that we meet on our paths, whether they're family members or advocates or, allies. They're all unbelievable. And I believe that we're building our circle bigger and stronger. So
And one thing that you had said that really stuck with me is, for those who are listening and who want to do something or who are doing something in their community, don't ever forget the families. Make sure you're including them. If you're wanting to hold something, get a little family board together. Because I've been to so many gatherings and stuff, and I just feel like they're speaking at us.
Yeah.
They're not including us.
Yeah.
They're not,
even inviting us sometimes.
Nope, absolutely not. So it's like, if you're listening and you're out there and you're an ally, you're a to me, you're still family. You may not be part of the MMIP family, but you are our family. You're stepping up for us. You're helping us amplify our voices, but I just, really important, just please don't forget family, you know.
With that said, we'll leave it on that note. Thank you so much. Good stuff. I love you.